We're standing right on the edge of the next massive leap in artificial intelligence. So I want you to forget, just for a second, about starting every conversation with an AI from scratch. Because the race to build the next generation, what we're calling GPT-6, is already on. And it's all about one thing: creating an AI that actually knows you.
So let's just start with this one simple question, because it's at the heart of everything. What if your AI had a perfect memory? I mean, what if it remembered your preferences, the projects you're working on, your personal style, across every single time you talk to it?
Well, that is the core promise of where we're headed. And look, we're not just talking about some small incremental update here. This is a whole new vision for an AI assistant, one with persistent memory, a really deep sense of personalization, and the ability to learn and adapt to you over time. The goal is to transform it from just a Q&A tool into a true collaborator.
And this isn't just some tech fantasy, right? As OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman says, this whole evolution is a direct response to what users are asking for. People want an AI that gets them, that remembers the context of their work and their lives. They want to get rid of that Groundhog Day feeling of having to start over with every single chat.
But here's the catch. To build an AI with a memory like that, well, it's going to take an almost unbelievable amount of resources. And that brings us to the absolutely staggering cost of building this future.
So, what is the price tag for this new level of intelligence? Turns out, the answer isn't just in dollars and cents, it's in raw power and in massive infrastructure. Here's the deal. You just can't build the AI of tomorrow on the hardware of yesterday. The global demand for the kind of computational power you need to train these new models, it is absolutely exploding. And the scale we're talking about here, it's mind-boggling. We're now learning that OpenAI alone needs 6 gigawatts of power for its data center expansion, which is codenamed Project Stargate. Now, to put that into perspective for you, that is roughly the output of several nuclear power plants, all of it dedicated to just powering the future of AI. And you can really see the trend right here. I mean, if you look at the compute needed for the older models, it's a steady climb, right? But the projected needs for something like GPT-6, it's not a step up, it's a rocket launch. We are talking about orders of magnitude more power. And of course, this insatiable thirst for power has a massive financial consequence. It's fueling nearly $1 trillion in spending on AI infrastructure. Capital, equity, and raw computer all becoming tangled together in a way we have never seen before. Now, that level of investment means no single company can do this alone. So what's happening? We're actually seeing the rise of a new kind of alliance between tech giants, where each one plays a critical role in building the very foundation of AI.
So who are the key players in this project? Well, you have OpenAI, and they're what's called the demand anchor. They're the ones who need all this power. NVIDIA has been the main GPU supplier for a long time, but a huge new partnership is changing the game. AMD is now stepping in as a major new supplier, and a company like Oracle is helping with the actual physical construction of these giant data centers.
This AMD OpenAI deal is the perfect example of this new reality. It is one of the largest GPU supply agreements in history. We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar partnership that commits OpenAI to using 6 gigawatts worth of AMD's GPUs. And in return, OpenAI gets a warrant that could eventually give it up to a 10% stake in AMD. It's a true fusion of hardware and AI development.
And just like AMD's CEO, Dr. Lisa Su says, it really is a win-win. It validates AMD's hardware, it gives OpenAI a critical supply of chips, and honestly, it helps the entire industry by reducing its dependency on a single supplier. That's crucial for building a resilient AI supply chain for everyone.
All right, so we've got this huge vision, this massive investment, but what happens when all that promise slams into the reality of today's technology? Well, it turns out there's a pretty significant gap between the dream of a perfect assistant and the limitations of the models we have right now.
Let's just paint a picture of the dream scenario, right? You ask your AI, which, remember, already knows your company's brand voice, to create a new report. You just give it a spreadsheet and a PDF and say, hey, synthesize this data for me, and then, boom. The AI understands, it accesses both files, and it just flawlessly executes the task. Simple, right? Well, maybe not. The real question is, can even the most advanced models we have today actually pull off these kinds of multi-step, multi-app tasks with any real reliability? The data, well, it suggests not quite yet. A recent study called Odyssey Bench tested one of OpenAI's most capable models on hundreds of real-world office tasks, and the result?
only about a 61% accuracy rate on these complex, multi-app workflows. The model consistently botched document editing, it skipped steps, and it chose the wrong tools.
And this gets to the heart of the problem, really. The core tension of a perfect memory is what you could call the privacy paradox. On one hand, you've got the incredible benefit of an AI that truly knows you and can anticipate what you need. But on the other hand, you have this immense risk of creating a permanent and maybe vulnerable record of your entire life and your work.
So, you see, getting to this future isn't just about building more and more powerful models. True progress demands a deep and rigorous alignment with human values. As these systems get more capable, making sure that we remain in the driver's seat, that becomes the single most important challenge of all.
Which brings us right back to the one thing that powers all of this. As Sam Altman himself said, computing will become the most important currency in the future. The race for AGI, for memory, for personalization, it's all, fundamentally, a race for compute. That's the raw material that's going to shape this next era of technology.
So I'll leave you with this one last kind of provocative thought. As we get closer and closer to building an AI with a perfect, persistent memory, what are the things we are ultimately going to choose for it to forget?